Welcome to the Sports Syllabus Show, your ultimate playbook for all things sports. Whether you're a diehard fan, a curious rookie, or just here for the hot takes, we've got you covered. From breaking news and game analysis to interviews and debates, we're diving deep into the world of sports every week. So grab your jersey, lace up, and let's get into the game. This is the Sports Syllabus Show. Let's go. Okay, guys, our three topics for today are our reactions to the huge NBA trades over the weekend. Bradley basketball has been on a skid recently. And finally, college basketball, 11 crazy upsets in one day. All right, Luke, what was your initial reaction of the De'Aaron Fox and then the Luka trade? I feel like we should start with the Luka trade, though.
Yeah, for the Luka trade, I feel like my reaction was pretty similar to everyone else's. I thought Shams got hacked.
Hmm.
Somebody told me late Saturday night, and I was like, "That's just not real. There's no way."
Yeah.
And I just kept like refreshing Twitter and Instagram over and over and over again, waiting for some confirmation. And it finally slowly rolled in that this was true. Shams literally had to tweet out like, "Hey, I'm not hacked. This is real."
Yeah.
Everything that he tweeted was true. It was pretty crazy. I did not ever think I would see Luka traded in my lifetime, especially not at 25, like almost peaking in his career.
Yeah.
No matter like, yes, you could tell by the way he played, he struggled with his weight and everything, his conditioning. But
Hmm.
I still think that the Mavericks are going to keep him just because how young he is. He has so much time left in his career to change his ways and do all those things. And you're just sitting there late Saturday night, and all of a sudden you get this notification from Shams that
Yeah.
AD's on his way to the Mavericks, Luka's on his way to LA. So
Hmm.
pretty crazy stuff.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are kind of painting it as not a fair trade, which I think in the long run it's not. But I think for the next however long AD's in the league for, because I feel like we thought kind of when he got older he wouldn't be as good, and he's kind of proved us wrong. So I feel like the longer he's in the league is as long as this trade will be fair. But I think ultimately, in the long run, Luka's 25, so it's going to be favor the Lakers. But I think right now, like I said earlier in our class, that it was a lot more fair of a trade than I think a lot of people are painting it to be. Now, I think the Mavericks' reasoning for it is stupid, like that the dumb stuff about how he's never in shape. So what if the dude's not in shape? He would still give people 30 when he's out of shape, which just shows you how good he is. And like, okay, yeah, if you're a GM and you're really ticky tacky, you want him to, be in shape, then give people 45. Okay. But like he just brought you to an NBA finals and you're gonna trade him. I just don't understand it.
Yeah. Also, I think there's something that they know that we don't know. They came out today that they sent him away on like an excused absence for 11 days, but they masked it as a wrist injury. They sent him out away for him to lose weight, and he kind of failed in that task. Came back and didn't didn't lose any weight as much weight as they wanted to, and I think that they really think he might be a Joel Embiid type player.
Mm-hmm.
We know Embiid's talented; he can score 40 whenever he wants
Yeah.
and all that stuff. But I think the Mavericks are close. They think Luka's closer to Embiid than we think he is. Where Embiid always has struggled with his weight, especially late
Uh-huh.
in his career,
And
and I
just
think
his health in general.
I think the Mavs front office really thought that it was going to go down that path, and if you're trading Luka, you're like, all right, we're going to shop him right. We're going to show him off to every team.
Yeah.
But there's only a
They
few teams
only
that have the caliber of player
Mhm.
that you'd
What
receive.
I saw was they literally only called the
Yeah,
Lakers.
because if you break it down, so you go to all these different teams with star players. So you say the Celtics, they wanted a big. They wanted a big
Exactly.
clearly to match up with Kyrie. So if you go to all these with forwards, so the Celtics are going to say no because it's Tatum,
And then
and then the
we've already
Bucks,
seen Porzingis on the Mavs, and
right?
it was with
Yeah, yeah.
Luca, but still,
But like Porzingis doesn't have the stature. If you're going to trade Porzingis for Luka, then that would be
that's
even worse than AD. So
yeah.
you're saying no, and then the Bucks are going to say no for Giannis clearly because Luka's not
It's
going to resign in
uh-huh,
Milwaukee. So your only option really is the Lakers,
uh-huh.
and the only question for me is how did they not get more picks in there?
Yeah, I saw another thing. Miles Bridges or Mikal Bridges traded for five first
Yeah,
round picks or
yeah,
four. Gobert five, Luca one.
yeah. My only reasoning for that is since Nico Harrison was kind of pushed into a corner with the Lakers, and that he realized that was his only option to get
I felt like he kind
the
of.
value back.
Mhm.
I think Palinka kind of controlled the conversation there because Palinka saw the same thing where he's like, all right, my team is the only option for this star player, so I can kind of say whatever I want, be like, no, I don't want the second first round pick in
Mhm.
there. You're only going to get one first round
Yeah,
pick because this is your only option. So what are you going to do?
exactly.
If you're looking to trade him, then it's going to be my price that we're going to trade him for.
Hmm.
And that's kind of what we see now, where the Lakers didn't give up that much, because Pelinka, I think, cornered Harrison
Yeah.
into kind of abiding to what he wanted.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I think that um another thing that I feel like a lot of people are not talking about too is like the Lakers, they didn't need Luca. Like,
Hmm.
yeah, I'm not saying you don't like every team wants Luca, you know what I mean? But like they didn't really need him. They needed a big,
Hmm.
and what they did in that is they traded their best big away. And
Yeah, but
I get why you do it. I just feel like currently you need a big,
yeah,
and like Jackson Hayes isn't gonna get it done.
yeah,
You know what I mean? So I think that if they want to actually be like a complete team, they have to be continue to be active
yeah.
at this trade deadline. And I feel like the only big really on the market is Vucevic.
That's a good one. I Yeah, there was a few names that were thrown out. Vucevic obviously is one of them. But the thing with Vucevic is defensively,
He's
what
not a
is he really going to
defender.
bring you? And they
Exactly.
don't really need more offense. They just
Yeah.
traded for one of the best, if not the best, offensive force in the league.
Yeah.
I was seeing Nick Claxton on the
Oh,
Nets.
that's a good one because he's a
He'll provide that defense,
and
that rim
he doesn't.
protection that they need.
Vucevic is like, let's say Vucevic hypothetically was a defender. Vucevic needs the ball.
Yeah,
Claxton is fine with giving you 8, 12, and three
yeah,
blocks or whatever.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's why Claxton would be perfect for them. Plus, he can catch lobs from Luca and LeBron,
Exactly.
to where Vucevic never really has been able to
No,
catch lobs similar to what
because
Claxton can.
yeah, yeah. I don't. I don't think Vucevic. I'm a Bulls fan, so I know kind of. I don't. I don't. If I'm a Lakers fan, I don't want Vucevic.
Yeah, Claxton. And then the other one for me that I've heard was Rob Williams on the
That's a
Trailblazers.
good one. I feel like no one's talked about him since he left Boston, which
Yeah,
is
because
fair.
he's been hurt a lot.
Yeah.
So maybe you take a flyer on him. He's kind of expensive,
Or
but
maybe
he's one of the best rim protectors in the league. So
yeah, actually no, because this guy's not a defender. I was gonna say Aiton, but Aiton's not. He just had a 2020 game actually,
yeah, Aiton is a lot of money though. So
and
they'd have to somehow.
exactly,
Yeah, the things with the Lakers when they kept a lot of their assets, they still have one more first round pick and
exactly.
Austin Reeves. So there's a lot of things that can open up for them, and they still have Connect.
Hmm.
So that's a young player, a pick, and a solid player that they can put into a
Exactly.
trade
Um,
for a big.
Next we can talk about the big De'Aaron Fox, Zach Levine trade. What are your reactions for? We'll kind of go team by team here. First for the Spurs.
Yeah, for the Spurs, I think it's a big win. They finally found a guard that they can pair with Wemby. That
Hmm. Isn't
well,
there? Isn't
they'll change up their style a little bit because Fox is one of the fastest players in the league.
yeah,
But I just kind of like the envision of Wemby pulling a rebound off the glass, and Fox is already at midcourt.
yeah.
Wemby can throw it to him, and they can have this super high powered offense in
Hmm.
the half court and in the transition, because Wemby will control the half court, Fox will control transition, and it's going to be a great career move for Fox, in
I
my
agree.
opinion. He forced his way out of Sacramento, which is not something you like to see all the time, but he forced his way out. Got his coach fired in the process, which is interesting.
Which I Mike Brown is one of the better coaches in the league. I don't know
Yeah,
why they fired him, but
yeah, forced his way out. He's like, I want to go to San Antonio, and they get it done. And it's interesting that the um, the Kings didn't get any of the Spurs young players.
I
Like
know.
Castle's still there,
I saw something
Vassell's still there.
that I was surprised that they didn't trade Vassell, but
Yeah,
Castle I saw was unless it was for like Luca was on they said
yeah, he's
untouchable.
still really young, and he's shown a lot of promise this year, especially with pairing with Wemby. So
Mhm. I think this Spurs team like I know it's really early, but they could be a lot like the when Popovich like when the Spurs were good, because you already are starting to see ideally three young guys with
mhm.
Fox, Wemby, and
Yep.
Castle, and then like you said, they have Vassell, they have what's that dude from France with the crazy dyed hair?
Oh, Sohan,
So
Sohan.
Sohan,
Yep.
I was blanking on him.
Yeah,
He's also very underrated.
and
So
Keldon Johnson, all those guys.
exactly,
Yeah.
like they it's not like they have a very young. The Spurs have been even like when they were good, they were good at having such a like they had Tim Duncan,
Yep.
and Wemby's kind of their Tim Duncan now.
Hmm.
But they have a thing where they have a good, very deep team,
Yeah.
which will help them. And then Chris Paul is I think a great veteran for this team because Fox, yeah, we've seen him like develop and stuff, and he's become great, but he still needs everyone would take notes from probably the third or fourth best point guard, maybe probably set like you know
Yeah.
what I mean, top
Yep.
five point guard of all time.
Yep.
They're gonna take notes from that, and I also think it's a win now move, and I think it could boost the Spurs in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Because one, they made it early enough. with this trade deadline window-ish
Hmm.
to where they can have enough time to kind of maybe make a play and maybe make a run from that. I mean,
Yeah.
we've seen teams do it before, and in the West, you have to actually be good to make the plan,
Yep.
not like the East where it's you can be 2 games under 500 and make the playoffs like the Bulls do every year.
Bengals. Yeah. Um. Yeah. So another thing I heard around today that an underrated piece of this is Fox is a lefty, as we all know, and
Mhm.
when Fox and Sabonis were playing with each other, Fox always wanted to throw those lobs to Sabonis, but since they were both lefties, Sabonis would always like get in his. They're not getting his way, but it'd be easier for him to catch a lefty lob.
Yeah.
And now since Wemby is a righty, they're going to be doing the pick and rolls, and both of them
Yeah,
are going to
that's
go to
gonna
the
be
rim, and Fox can throw it with his left hand up to Wemby with his right hand, who will catch it with his right hand, so it's like away from the defender, not on the same
when
side. So that'll be a key piece, and we'll see if Wemby will actually roll it all.
yeah.
Because if you watch Wemby when he sets screens, he always tries to pop for the three,
Yeah.
but that'll open up a lot of space
Yeah,
for
me and
Fox, regardless.
when me and Duke Dean were doing the podcast, we were talking about Wemby. Dude is 7'4", like, and like I'm telling you, I know everyone says this with these bigger guys, but if he had like a little bit more mass, kind of like Edie does,
Hmm.
and I don't think Edie's gonna be anywhere near Wemby, but I'm just saying mass wise, this dude would be like, I mean, this dude's literally a skin and bones, and he's giving people 24, 12, 4 blocks.
Yeah,
4 blocks a game is crazy,
yeah,
and I just think if like it's not like he's not good. I'm not saying he's not good. I'm saying like this dude is doing this and he's still young and developing.
yeah.
So I do think it's gonna be like now that he's not picking and rolling with someone. And also I felt like Sabonis, even though I'm not saying Sabonis wasn't bad or anything or wasn't good, I'm saying that I feel like Sabonis was also a little undersized.
Hmm.
And now he has, if you like an oversized big, which is kind of crazy, but
Yeah,
he's technically, you don't see a lot of 7'4" guys in the NBA who can shoot like him. So
yeah,
I think that's another thing. And now we can kind of talk about the Kings.
yeah.
I'm a bull. I'll go first. I'm the bull. I'm a Bulls fan. I have my opinions, but we'll talk about the Bulls next, which is But I kind of like it for the Kings.
Hmm.
You get like Zach LaVine is having one of his better years of his career.
Yeah.
Um, and he started off really bad, and he's been hot ever since what, probably the first month ever,
Hmm.
right? Would you say right around then?
Yeah.
And we've already seen what him and DeMar can do together, and now it's just what will Sabonis do with them? Because
Yeah.
you kind of have a three now with them. Like it's not. I think Fox is better than Levine,
Hmm.
but I think it was a very minimal like difference in skill wise. Like I think the Kings didn't lose a crazy amount
Hmm.
because you got a good player back in Levine, but
Yeah. It'll be interesting. Like this is kind of like that Bulls team recreated, honestly.
mhm.
Instead of Lonzo, it's Monk, and then it's an upgrade of Vucevic. I think
Yeah,
Sabonis is
I
better than
agree. I
Vucevic.
agree
I
with
don't
that.
even think it's debatable, and I think it's an upgrade. It'll be interesting to see what they do defensively.
Mhm.
This is kind of like their four best players are all offense plus, and then Kevin Herter. So
Oh
who's
well,
gonna?
no, the Bulls got him.
Oh, excuse me, Keegan Murray.
Yeah,
Keegan Murray's their fifth, because their crunch time starting five will probably be Monk, Levine, Murray, DeRozan, Sabonis, and
yeah,
that who's gonna guard anybody in that lineup? I guess
exactly.
DeRozan or I guess Levine's gonna have to be the guy who like guards
Yeah.
the best perimeter
Well,
defender on the other team.
DeRozan used to
So
be
yeah,
the guy.
DeRozan used to be, but DeRozan isn't
Older,
DeRozan of
yeah,
Toronto.
yeah.
But I think this team will be a higher powered offensive team for sure.
I think we could easily see a potential De'Aaron Fox Kings matchup in the like versus the Kings in the play-in or playoffs.
Yeah,
Honest, like I really do.
that would be
There,
pretty cool.
I think, um, I know the Spurs are 12th in the West, and I'm pretty sure the Kings are 10th or 11th in the West. So there's actually a good chance that they could play, which I would love to see if that happens because I would love to see how the Kings fans react to him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so right now the Spurs are 12th and the Kings are ninth. So yeah,
Yeah, that's
it's
a
on the table.
possibility.
It is on the table. It's surprising that the Spurs have such a bad record, but I guess they're so young, they're so
They are
inconsistent.
young.
I think Fox will definitely add some wins for them, and they could definitely make a play and push.
Yeah, because how
Yeah.
far out are they of the play-in right now?
They are 3 games back of the 10th
Oh,
seed.
yeah, no, they
They
got a
could definitely
shot
make
with
it,
that.
especially with Golden State. Will probably they had a really hot start, and they'll probably
They're
start to
gonna
fall
start
off a
falling.
little
I
bit.
mean, we already seen them.
And the Suns too.
Yeah,
So, and probably the Mavericks. I expect the Mavericks to slide a little bit.
I do, but I think they're once Kyrie and AD mesh, it's gonna be scary. I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, as long AD's got to stay healthy.
I
Got to
that
stay
I
healthy.
agree.
Yeah.
Now we can kind of talk about my garbage bowls. Um,
Hey, you got your pick back. That's really what matters.
I know,
You can vote for Cooper Flag.
but the thing that's frustrating is the players.
Yeah.
Like I was doing the math yesterday. Combined, Kevin Huter, Zach
Herder.
Collins, Huter, whatever,
Herder.
Herder,
Herder.
um, Zach Collins and Trey Jones combined. I'm gonna let you guess. What do you think combined their points per game as average? Like combined,
Like 25.
17.
17. Okay.
17 points. That's like I was looking at stats yesterday. That's what one Shaden Sharp on the Trailblazers is averaging.
He averages 25 points or 17. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
not
Yeah.
25.
Yeah.
But it's like Levine was probably our best player, and we got like almost nothing in return. Like, yeah, okay, we got our pick back, but you shouldn't have traded that pick, I think, in the first place.
Yeah.
I think they gave up, and I loved DeMar DeRozan. I think he was good, but what, they gave up 2 first rounds for him in the sign and trade?
Yeah. Plus a huge contract.
Yeah. So, like, I think you give him one and then another player. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I agree that if I was a Bulls fan, I would be a little disappointed. But you have to think about it. What are you going to expect from your owners, right? I mean, Ryan
exactly.
Storff, of
Ryan
course, is
Stuff
just
is.
going to keep the team at mediocrity for the end of time as long as
Mhm.
he's there. So, but I would be excited to get your pick back. You are 21 and 29 right now, and you're not gonna have that bad of a record as the
We're
Wizards,
still.
but like you can get into the pretty low in that lottery
And
because
I mean, we saw literally in 2019 when everyone was licking their chops for Zion,
Mhm.
the Pelicans had like a.
yeah, they jumped up. And last year the Hawks jumped up for Ricochet too. So
It's but last year's draft was, I don't think,
yeah, I'm just
good.
saying
But I
examples.
know what
Yeah,
you're saying.
yeah,
Um, yeah. So hopefully we can get if we get Cooper Flag, it would be like the perfect Chicago story. Like right when the Hawks get Bedard,
hmm
and then the Bulls get
flag. Yeah, that
Flag.
would be pretty cool. You just
It's
have a pretty low shot at it
it's
because
because we're like 21 and 29 right now, right?
yeah, you're 21 and 29. The only team that's probably going to pass you is the Sixers because I don't think you're going to lose enough. I don't think you're going to outlose the Raptors, the Nets, the Hornets, or the Wizards. Um,
Yeah, true.
but for in terms of Western Conference teams, yeah,
It's really
like
just the
yeah,
Wizards.
the Wizards are going to have the worst record. But I'm just saying teams you match up with, you have the same record as Portland, and then New Orleans and Utah are
Are
both really down low.
Yeah,
So you guys are probably going to have or around like the 10th best odds, which is not
which
it's
is
not
not
impossible.
terrible. Yeah.
And everyone's talking about flag, but this draft is super deep. You
No,
could
this
get you
draft
could
is
get
deep.
somebody pretty good in that 7 to 8 range. So
Exactly.
yeah, I think it's good for Chicago to get their pick back,
I do too. I
and
just
they can start playing Buzelis more now because they don't have to worry about
he's
Wizards
looked
games.
good too recently,
Yeah.
which is exciting because in the beginning of the year he didn't look like they would play him. They didn't play him enough too, I don't think, in the beginning of the
Yeah.
year, and he didn't look too great in the minutes he got.
hmm
So it was kind of frustrating. Um,
Yeah, he'll be in the dunk contest too, which would be cool.
I want Mac McClung to win that thing so bad
They
again.
always bring him back up to the league for the dunk contest
Yeah,
every year.
it's the first year was undescribable how good he like.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
I feel like he set the bar so high though.
I'm telling you, watch out for Andre Jackson Jr. If you look up some of his high school
No,
highlights,
he can dunk.
he can fly.
But now I think we should talk
Bradley.
Bradley. 2 losses in a row and they were not even close.
Yeah.
What do you think they got to work on?
I don't know. It's weird for me. I know how talented they are. They're really deep. They have like 4 or 5 guys who can have a good game at any day.
Yeah,
But when I watch them, it always seems that they struggle to like make a pass. They run
that's
a
what.
lot to their bigs, which is interesting to me because their best players I think are wings and guards.
Hmm.
And Hannah, I guess, counts as a big, but he doesn't really play like one. Uh, I just think they just need to start finding an offensive rhythm again. You got to play through the wings and the guards. I feel like every time they go to the bigs, it kind of just stops the flow of everything.
Hmm.
And I think Wardle's just got to look to like the best players on his team and like this is on you guys, and you need to start making things happen late in this season.
I agree. I mean, like, yeah, we ideally, like, Bradley got an AP vote last week, so it would have been cool for them to be ranked, but they're not going to get an at-large bid. Like, they need to, like, I was talking with one of my buddies. The games that matter are those 3 games in the Valley tournament. That's literally it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, do we want them to win? Do we want them to do all of this stuff in the regular season and win? Yes, but in reality, like the only games that really, really matter for them are these games in the Valley tournament
Hmm.
because I mean that's how they get in. They're not going to get an at-large bid, which stinks because I think the Valley. I was talking with Duke Dean about it. The Valley is such a good and deep conference, but because they're a smaller conference, they're not going to get in that two bids. So,
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be tough because Indiana State won it last year,
hmm
and Indiana State didn't make NCAA, and it'll be tough. Bradley's really gonna have a really good tournament run for them to have a chance of making March Madness. And we play Drake again at February 16th, so that'll be the litmus
that's
test
yeah,
for us to see how good we really are.
that's yeah,
So that'll
and
be
then
that'll be a good game.
even I'm looking right now, and you're even Illinois State after
Even yeah,
that's a
even
big
ISU,
one.
yeah, and Murray State. Murray State's the other one.
You and I, we have to win that one if we
Yeah,
want a shot.
yeah.
Um,
But
yeah,
yeah, it's all gonna come down to Arch Madness,
it is,
right?
which is
And
going to be exciting.
when
I'm
they're
going to
doing,
try and find my way down there, but
yeah, yeah,
hopefully I can find a way because um, one, it would be awesome for Bradley to win.
yeah,
Because I feel like this is one of their better teams they've ever had.
yeah.
And after talking with some of the basketball guys, that they've said that this is one of the more talented teams Bradley's ever had.
Hmm.
So it would be disappointing.
Yeah, to say the least. Yeah, it's really just gonna have to you're gonna have to get hot. They got hot earlier in the year,
Uh huh. They
with
went
a lot
on.
of these pretty with this long wing streak
Uh-huh.
up in the beginning, and they've kind of cooled off a little bit.
I agree. It's been a lot of like kind of spotty wins, and
Yeah, yeah,
I was shocked honestly to see how bad they got beat by Northern Iowa
yeah.
because
I agree.
usually this whole season after a loss they come out and they play so much better,
Hmm.
and they just didn't.
Yeah,
But
and usually when somebody like Jaquan Johnson has 27,
yeah, I was about to bring them up.
like he did in the Northern Iowa game, they find a way to win.
Exactly, like the thing, and you brought it up kind of earlier how they don't pass like they do, but when they get in these situations where they kind of need to pass and move the ball to be successful, they don't pass, and I feel like that's gonna bite them in the butt, especially if they end up making it to March Madness. That you're gonna play these teams that are way better than the teams you're playing right now,
Yep.
and you're gonna need to learn to move the ball around. And I feel like they get in the stages where they're like they just don't do it.
Yeah.
Um,
It was a rough game for both Dean and Darius Hannah. They
yeah,
combined for 5 points. Duke Dean went 1 for 11 with 2 points. So that's not something we see very often. That could be
yeah,
a good reason why they lost.
uh-huh.
Even like Christian Davis had 2 points. And it was just a rough show for
It
everybody
was
outside of the freshman Jaquan Johnson.
exactly.
Which when I was looking at that, it raised a question for me. Like, could he transfer to a bigger school only being an 18-year-old freshman? Could other schools start looking at him and be like, hey, this could be a point guard for a team in a higher up conference like the Big Ten or even the
Like a
SEC?
worse or a smaller Big Ten team or
Yeah, yeah,
like a Northwestern or a
yeah,
school like
something
that.
like that. That they take a flyer at a freshman from the uh from the Valley because clearly he can hoop with the best of them.
Yeah.
He's
Uh,
having a great freshman season.
I think you make a good point.
He's only
Um,
5'11" though.
yeah, I think that and the thing with big schools now is they're just getting all these big guards now. I think it's such a small. I think the only way he would transfer is by his probably senior year, like going
Yeah.
into his senior year, just
Hmm.
because I don't,
I'm
I
not
don't
saying this year. I'm just
know.
saying maybe
I
eventually.
think I do think maybe eventually. But that also depends on how well he does, and he's looked great this year.
Yeah.
Just defensively too. He's won some defensive freshman of the week.
Yeah, you watch him play and it's like, oh, this guy's pretty little,
Yeah,
but he can really guard.
he guards well. He's a good defender. He steals a lot. Like
Hmm.
he's a very underrated player, and a lot of people just look at the stat lines and be like, "Oh, he is only averaging like what 5 points, something like
Yeah.
that.
Hmm.
5 points, like 2 rebounds, 3 assists, something like that." But sometimes the stats don't show how effective he actually is,
Hmm.
or you how effective you actually are.
Yeah. Got to
And
kind
I
of when
feel
playing
like
some games. Yeah. And he's playing behind Duke Dean, so it's not like he's going to get a ton of minutes anyway. So,
and he's learning. He's learning a bunch. Like learning from someone who's been in college basketball for 5 years, uh, is something like that. I feel like is not given enough attention. Like Duke Dean has been doing this for 5 years
mhm.
at the highest level in America,
Yeah.
like college wise, highest level in America, and he's been one of the best players in the conference.
Yep.
consistently ever since he's been here. So,
Yeah, I think Jaquan Johnson definitely has potential to
oh yeah, no, it's
live up to
exciting.
that
Then
too.
they got some good recruits coming in. They have the highest rated recruit that World's ever brought in next year.
Yeah,
So they got some boys coming in. So it's not like, but I do think that this team is. We got to see how they come out tomorrow.
yeah.
And then this weekend, and then when they that I feel like that Drake game is going to be the where they kind of you can see because you're going to have to probably end up you're if you make it to the
They
championship,
have to win that game.
it's
They
either
have to win that game.
exactly it's either you're playing probably either Drake or you and I honestly I
Yep.
think
Yep.
so you got to win these two games against them. But our last segment of the day, college basketball, Saturday was crazy. What upset do you think or like crazy game because there was a lot of ranked losses too. But what game do you think kind of most stood out to you?
For me, it was the Kentucky Arkansas game. Everyone that the big storyline was Coach Cal coming back to Kentucky, and he destroyed them.
Mm-hmm.
Arkansas won 89 to 79, and they shot the lights out from three. I think
Yeah.
they shot over 50% from three.
Mm-hmm.
For Arkansas, and the former Kentucky guys clearly made an impact.
Yeah.
And they were just out. They were just out doing everything for Kentucky.
Yeah.
Kentucky could not get a 3-point shot going. And if you look at some of these numbers for Arkansas, the 3-point shooting, like 3 for 6, 4 for 7, 2 for 3, all these guys just having efficient 3-point nights. And for Kentucky, if you look at their 3-pointers, you got like 1 for 6, 0 for 1. Here's a 3 for 5, and a 4 for 6. But all those guys, they just couldn't get it going from
Mm-hmm.
3-point land.
Yeah. What I like to say about this game is this is the Arkansas that we all thought we were going to see going into the season.
Yeah,
And they're still, I don't think, at least for me, I don't think they're in the playoff or the March Madness. And I don't think they have an at-large bid yet.
yeah,
Just because in the SEC they've played so terribly. I mean, with the win now, they're 2-6 in the SEC. But I think they need to start winning more because if that Arkansas team shows up every game, they're going to be scary.
yeah.
But
Keep going. Sorry.
but it's you don't know with Coach K, especially we've seen recently with a lot of his teams is his teams are so like a slope up and down
Hmm.
where we don't know what we're gonna get. But
Yeah, and looking at some of these stats, Arkansas with 10 steals, and then Kentucky with 13 turnovers. So clearly, Arkansas saw something defensively that they could attack,
mhm.
and they did. So with the 10 steals, that's big.
I think for me the biggest game was definitely the Iowa State Kansas State game.
Hmm.
Um, one because everyone has talked about Iowa State as such a great team, and then they
Yeah,
lost by 20 at home against one of the worst teams in the Big 12.
yeah,
Now my boy, my former Illini, Coleman Hawkins, is on the Kansas State, so you know
yeah,
I do like Kansas State. One their uniforms and colors are gorgeous.
yeah,
But yeah, they're one of the worst teams in the Big 12, and they lost by 21, right? Yeah,
yeah.
21.
19.
Oh, 19. To a Kansas State team that I think are they under 500?
Kansas State is 10 and 11. Yes, under
Yes.
500.
They lost to a team who's under 500 and you know, it's not like it was the Kansas State team that had Marcus Noel,
Yeah.
Keon Johnson, like all those guys. They don't really have anyone and
Hmm.
it was just pure domination, you know. They
Yeah.
shot I think 50% from 3. Like they were shooting really well
Yep.
from 3 and if I'm an Iowa State fan, I'm kind of nervous because then they just lost last night, and they like the score says otherwise. They only lost by 17, but they were getting dominated for that basically the whole game. So
Hmm.
if I'm an Iowa State fan right now, I'm kind of worried right now for especially for my team. Back to back losses, one against a team you shouldn't have lost to.
Yep.
The other one you
Kansas
beat.
is good.
Yeah, Kansas is good, but you beat them pretty badly earlier in the year.
Yeah.
So if I'm an Iowa State fan, I'm really worried right now. But I mean, but college basketball is the craziest sport in the world. I think so.
Yeah. Kansas State outscored Iowa State 43-26 in the second half,
Hmm.
and it was pretty close at the first half, and then Kansas State kind of went off. Yeah, your boy Coleman Hawkins,
17.
17 points, 3 for 3 from three. He was good in Illinois.
He was.
He played on the same AAU team as Jalen Green, and
Hmm.
I always liked him. So it was cool to see him play pretty well in this game.
Yeah, a
But
lot of
yeah,
people picked Kansas State to to be a lot better. At least
Yeah.
I thought they were going to be because Coleman Hawkins is one of the best grad transfers in the like transfer portal,
Hmm.
and I thought their Kansas State was going to be way better, and they just kind of been disappointing. So maybe this win also turns the season around for Kansas State. You never know. I mean, you're in the Big 12 championship. They could maybe win the whole thing. I mean, I'm not saying they're that good, but
Who knows? Yeah.
maybe this win helps them and brings them up.
Yeah. I mean, Iowa State has really struggled. We saw them at one point be second in the nation, I believe. Now
Hmm.
they're going to be lower. They're dropped to eighth.
But that was
Um,
before the loss to Kansas, so they're
yeah. Yeah.
probably going to
Yeah.
be outside the top 10.
Yeah. Probably now, but it'll be interesting to see if they can bring their season back together. This little rough stretch for them.
Hmm. And then another one I want to talk about is the UConn beating Marquette.
Yeah.
That's a big win
Big
for you
win.
because UConn has been really disappointing this year, and it's not to say that like they're bad or anything. It's just that because they've set the standards so high
Yeah.
over the past 2 years, this team has not been up to that standard, and I feel like this win could turn the season around for them
Yeah.
because they have what, 4 losses?
Six.
Wow,
6 losses. Yep.
that's a wow.
Hmm.
I always
Still
thought.
ranked.
I mean,
Still ranked 19.
because a lot of their losses are like good losses. Like
Yeah.
they lost to Memphis team who's ranked. They lost to all these good teams that are ranked now.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but I think this one could turn the season around for them. So I don't know though. I don't know. UConn has been very kind of iffy, and I think St. John's is a team that could win the Big East this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
The Big East is loaded.
mhm.
Everyone used to call it Big Least, but now St. John's, UConn, Marquette's all ranked.
Xavier's getting hot.
Yep. Xavier's getting hot.
So
Yeah. For Marquette, they've having a great season, and UConn's having actually a good season. It's just the problem they're being compared to
exactly
the teams
the
of
back to
the past
backs.
2 years.
Yeah,
After Hurley, Dan Hurley's going to talk smack,
yeah.
because it's just how he is. But yeah, UConn kind of dominated in the first half, and Marquette was playing catch up for the whole time. Basically, he's solo ball with 25, 11, and three
Yeah, solo ball is
for UConn. So they're not going to repeat. I don't think. They repeat, I'd be really surprised. Or
yeah.
three-peat, excuse me. I have to pay Pat Riley for saying that
Yeah.
on there, but
Oh yeah,
uh,
didn't he trademark it?
yeah, he did back in the Lakers days. But yeah, it was a good win for UConn. Maybe they'll spark that, but I think Marquette, this is something they can learn from, and I still think they're going to be pretty good come March.
Yeah. I mean, the Big East is really good.
Yeah,
St. John's, I knew they were going to be good just because Rick Pitino coached at
yeah,
Cal Iona that my dad went to, so we've rooted for them. I rooted for Iona, and I saw that second year with Rick Pitino. It's always that second year. They always do really well. I think this year they have as many wins as they had last year, or then maybe they have 19. They had 20 wins last year.
hmm,
So overall, it's just they're a scary team. Because they don't have any, how Duke has Cooper Flag, Illinois
yeah,
has Casper Siakam,
yep,
like how these teams have those players that everyone knows. They don't really have a star player. It's a very much of they play very I mean they play how Patino coaches, very physical. That's how all Patino teams are. They play really physical. They're not gonna, shoot the lights out at the three. They're gonna beat you inside. So
yeah,
I mean, they're interesting just because you expect, especially in the Big East, where you got Marquette as Cam Jones, you have UConn as solo ball, you have Liam McNeil, all these guys. So,
hmm,
and Creighton, we're not even talking about Creighton because
yeah.
they've kind of been disappointing, but
They're
they're
still
still
third in the Big East. So
exactly like they're still scary. So I think St. John's is a very underrated team, like in the aspect of just the tournament as a whole, because I feel like they're not necessarily putting up 100 and stuff. They're just kind of beating you rough and physical. They're not beating them by like the stereotypical,
yeah,
game now where, it's a three and kind of running up and down threes. So,
yeah. Top three in the Big East right now. St. John's 10-1
mhm.
in Big East, 19-3 overall. Marquette 9-2 in the Big East, 18-4 overall. Creighton 9-2 in the Big East, 16-6 overall. So yeah, that's a really loaded conference.
Yeah.
It's good to see some of the 80s and 90s Big East type and
Yeah, I
70s
think I think
come
when
back. So that's pretty cool.
I agree. I think when St. John's is good and Georgetown is looking better.
Hmm.
Last year they were really rough, so
They've been rough for the past few years, and Patrick
uh
Ewing was coach.
and
So
now they got Ed Cooley, so they're starting to come on the come up. So
yeah,
maybe we'll get a good
and
rivalry.
Villanova.
Yeah,
They have
Nova
the guy.
Dixon,
Yeah, the guy who
Eric
averages like
Dixon.
25 points a
Yeah,
game.
he's good. So
Yeah.
it's good to see all these kind of older ones come back, and I mean even like DePaul, they're 11 and what 12.
Yeah.
But the past few years they've been awful,
Yeah.
and they got the old Ohio State coach.
Mhm.
So I mean, this conference is an interesting conference.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm excited. I would love this to live through a Georgetown St. John's like re-rivalry sort of, because
Mhm.
that was before we were born. So
Yeah.
I would love to just see that, or a good Georgetown team
Yeah.
like would be sick.
Yeah. Haven't
Cause
had one of those in a long time.
exactly that would what probably when was Iverson in college? No,
That was a while ago.
it might have been before, a little bit after too. I feel like they were solid and then
Yeah.
they kind of fell off.
Yep.
But
Yeah. For this conference has been so Villanova dominated for so long.
I
It's good to
agree.
see some new teams. And
Yeah.
Marquette's been really, really
Marquette's
good the
been
past few
dominated
years.
the past like yeah, few years.
Yep. So it's good to see a bunch. And UConn, obviously, what am I talking about? The last 2 years.
Decided not to name the
Yeah.
back-to-back national
Back-to-back
championships.
But yeah. Yeah, it's good to see the Big East back.
I
So
agree. Well, that's a wrap for this week on the Sports Syllabus Show, guys. Thanks for tuning in and joining the conversation. Don't forget to follow and subscribe. Share this show with your friends and fellow sports fans. Got a hot take or a question? Hit us up on Instagram. Until next time, stay hyped, stay active, and we'll see you back here for next episode of Sports Syllabus Show.
thank you.